We always start with the current topic, and man, I'm telling you, we are back on this guy. Last time it was worldwide upheaval, if you were here. We're back on the issue of the mark of the beast. Hey, do we see any signs of people receiving some sort of mark or something into their body? I mean, do we happen to live in those days when the technology is even available? Yes, and what we're seeing, folks, again, one of the biggest communities that this is being thrust in upon us, folks, is in the medical community. And as they rightly admit, hey, it's just a matter of time that you see the positive benefits of this technology, and you're going to buy into it, whether you like it or not, pretty soon. Let's take a look.
Here in New Jersey, a trial is taking place that some think could have profound consequences. It's at one of America's biggest hospitals and has the highest of motives: to save lives. Every day, scores of emergency patients arrive at the hospital. Doctors need to know their medical histories urgently.
Time is at the essence for us. Patients come in either in coma or have altered mental status, and we readily need to get important information on those patients very early on in the course of their care.
The idea would be to fit people who might one day need hospital treatment with a permanent computer chip, providing immediate access to their medical records.
I'm just going to make a mark of where we're going to put that in chip.
Stockbroker Robel Johnson is one of the pioneers. Today he's having a chip implanted in his arm, similar to those on German groceries and Dutch nightclubbers.
Okay. Now you're going to feel a little pressure.
If ever he becomes an emergency patient, he can be instantly identified.
Yeah, how did that feel?
Fine, that's fine.
Okay, great.
So far, 40 people have been implanted here. Doctors think it will soon be as commonplace as vaccinations.
All right, chipped. You should play that number today.
Once patients see the benefit of being able to travel within the United States and in the future worldwide, and people can have ready access to vital information that might save their life, will I think, ensure the buy-in to the general public.
The hospitals are certainly buying into the technology. Hundreds are already looking to introduce it.
Boy, there's a lot going on in that video. Did you guys notice all the different terminology that was used there? As common as what? Vaccinations. Interesting. And what kind of implant was it? It was a permanent one that was used there. But that's not all. It says it's the same exact technology being used right now by who? What? German grocers? Did you catch that? Food? And nightclubbers paying drinks, financial transactions, buy and sell. It's the exact same technology. Interesting. Okay? Now, folks, that's what we saw with this issue. Is you might think, hey, there's no way in the world I'm ever going to do that, okay? But that's what we saw last time. If you remember a few studies back with the end of Thyatira, we saw that was what was scary when people actually began to read what was going on in that health care bill. Remember that? Tucked away in 1,000, whatever that page was, okay? As we saw what was going on there. And what we saw after we saw there, it says right there, it provides provision for a Class 2 medical device. It says it right there, okay? And then after we exposed that, and a lot of people were blogging, well, a Class 2 medical device is merely speaking of a pacemaker, those kind of implants. Okay, maybe it is. But folks, you tell me what a Class 2 medical device also is from the CEO of the people who make these chips. He admits it. Let's take a look.
Joining us now to make his case is Scott Silverman. He's chairman and CEO of Applied Digital Solutions. That's the parent company of Verichip. And Mr. Silverman, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. We're looking at this little chip right here. You brought some in with us, tiny little things. But what we heard yesterday was kind of scary. How do you react to that?
Well, Becky, thanks for having us back on the air. We appreciate that very much. And obviously the comments that were made yesterday is the reason that I'm sitting here today. As you know, Verichip has been approved by the FDA as a Class 2 medical device in order to identify high-risk patients in an emergency situation. It's elective, it's voluntary, and it is certainly critical to the evolution of information technology in healthcare, which we all know is archaic, the way healthcare is done today in emergency rooms and physicians' offices.
What has been one of the 4 mandates that this new administration wanted at the very outset when the economy was taking a dive? Do you might remember what was the big thing that they were going to do? Update the electronic records. Make them all electronic. I wonder how that's going to happen. But what did he say there, folks? What did he say? He wasn't talking about pacemakers. What was he saying? What was a Class 2 medical device that's mentioned in the healthcare bill? That's from the CEO guy. Hello, okay? And here's the whole point. That's the rub, folks. He says, oh, of course, it's nothing to worry about. Thanks for letting me back on here to alleviate any scares, because right now it's completely voluntary. Yeah, that's called getting your foot in the door. What if it were to become mandatory, right? And that's exactly, folks, what I would say is probably going to happen eventually, sooner or later, especially when you're talking about the mark of the beast. We know that. He forced everyone, small and great, free and slave, rich and poor, to receive. There is coercion that's going on there. And then, folks, what's interesting is when you start to look at the other arena of the healthcare issues going on right now in our country, they're already showing signs of things becoming mandatory. It's not elective. It's not voluntary. In fact, I don't know if you guys seen this. This is a recent article. How many guys realize this mandatory thing that's going to be included? Obesity rating for every American must be included in the stimulus mandated electronic health records. Do you know that? New federal regulations issued this week stipulate that the electronic health records, now again, it's not health records, it's what? It's all going to be computerized. Wonder what they're going to use. So you have databases of it, but how do you tie that with the person? Interesting. The premise that all Americans are supposed to have by 2014, under the terms of the stimulus law that the president signed last year, must record not only the traditional measures of height and weight. Listen, this is now mandatory. But also the body mass, i.e. the measure of obesity. The obesity rating regulation states that every American electronic, there's the word again, electronic health record, quote, must calculate body mass and index. It's almost like they got so concerned about health and stuff. Now it's going to be used against us, and they're going to mandate what kind of health we can have. They wouldn't do that, would they? The law also requires that these electronic health records be available, listen, with appropriate security measures on a national exchange. Man, I hope nobody loses their electronic card. And if they do, what could be sitting right there to make it more secure? Anybody see step by step how? Very interesting. The new regulations are one of the first steps toward the government's goal of, listen, universal adoption of electronic health records by 2014 as outlined in the 2009 economic stimulus law. But hey, it's going to stop right there, right there. There's not going to go any further than that. Well, that's right, folks. We got a lot to cover, and that's why be here next week, Lord willing, for part 2 of the Mark of the Beast. You're going to see this is just the beginning, folks, of this technology. It can not only store and receive information, it can not only make financial transactions, and they readily admit, folks, it all intertwines. It's the same technology. Yeah, these people over here use it for groceries. Yeah, these people over here use it for medical purposes, but it's the same technology. That's not all this technology can do. Lord willing, next week, we'll get to that.